Hi guys, I am Dr. Shanish Sharma. Today's lecture about Bell's palsy. Bell's palsy, this term is given by Charles Bell's. Charles Bell's. This is idiopathic. This is idiopathic unilateral lower motor neuron palsy. Okay, this is idiopathic unilateral lower motor neuron palsy. Incidence is about 20 to 30 per 1 lakh cases. This is the incidence. And most commonly found between 15 to 45 years of age. In this age, between 15 to 45 age, male is to female ratio is equal. But below 20 years, it's more common in female than male. Above 40 years of age, this is more common in males than female. And this is more common in pregnancy due to edema and pregnancy and it's in third trimester. Last trimester, this is more common in pregnancy. Now we will talk about definition, criteria. Tabner 1959 define clinical criteria to diagnose the facial palsy. How? First, this is unilateral palsy of all facial muscle group. This is unilateral palsy of all facial muscle group. This is sudden onset and absence of CNS disease and absence of ear or CP angle disease. Okay, most of the time you can find Bell's palsy clinically. You don't require any investigation to diagnose Bell's palsy by ruling out any CNS symptom or ruling out any ear pathology. How will you rule out unilateral facial palsy? You can see a palsy of this loss of wrinkling of the forehead, loss of this flattening of the nasolabial fold and drooping of the angle of the mouth. And this is the clinical features. And sudden onset, it's if you wake early in the morning, you will find out asymmetry of face mostly unilaterally in 99% of the cases. Absence of the CNS disease, you can find by clinical, no symptom of any giddiness, vertigo with this or no loss of consciousness, and plus imaging. Clinical and imaging finding. Imaging mainly you can do MRI. And absence of ear disease, you can by doing otoscopy examination plus imaging. You do otoscopy of ear and imaging. So the Tabner's criteria still is very prominent. You can find unilateral palsy of all facial muscle group, sudden onset, absence of CNS disease and absence of ear and CP angle diseases. So these are the 4 criteria which Tabner has defined, which is relevant today also. The Adore scientist, I totally agree with him. Adore, he mentioned that Bell's palsy is not a palsy, only palsy of facial nerve. This is actually polyneuropathy. It's actually polyneuropathy. If we clinically see patient in detail, so you will find out hypoesthesia of trigeminal nerve and glossopharyngeal nerve in 61% of the cases. You will find out decreased hearing in 52% of the cases. You will find out dysgeusia, this altered taste, in 22% of the cases. You will find out periauricular pain or retroauricular pain in 57% of the cases. So this is not only palsy of facial nerve, this is actually polyneuropathy. If you see patient in detail, you will find a hypoesthesia of trigeminal nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve, decreased hearing in 52% of the cases, dysgeusia 22% of the cases, and periauricular pain or retroauricular in 57% of the cases. Now we will talk about clinical features. If you see the face of the individual, so there is inability to close the eye. That is flattening of nasolabial fold. This is nasolabial fold. This is flattened out. There is drooping of angle of mouth. This angle of mouth is dropped. There is lacrimation. And there is inability to blow or close mouth. These are the common clinical features. You may find out sometime this loss of taste and giddiness also in some cases. But these are the clinical features of Bell's palsy. And loss of wrinkling of the forehead. This is loss of wrinkling of forehead, because this identify the clinical finding, it's lower motor neuron or upper motor neuron palsy. Now how will you diagnose this is upper motor neuron palsy or lower motor neuron palsy? So if you see the supply of face by this is motor nucleus, this side this is postcentral gyrus, this is cerebrum or cortex, cerebral cortex, this is nucleus. So the facial nerve, upper motor nerve is mainly contralateral supply, and this face also having ipsilateral, this nucleus having ipsilateral supply also. So this supplying this forehead, and this supplying lower head. So and if it is, this is nucleus at the pons, this is level of pons. If we will talk about lower motor neuron palsy, there is complete palsy of all facial muscle group with wrinkling, loss of wrinkling of the forehead. So this is lower motor neuron palsy. Here this supply is cut, as the forehead supply is also cut, and this lower motor neuron this lower phase supply also cut. One upper motor neuron palsy. This upper motor, suppose this is cut, but ipsilateral cortex is also supplying the forehead. So in upper motor neuron palsy, there is no loss of wrinkling. Means frontalis muscle is not affected in upper motor neuron palsy. Okay. Now we will talk about diagnosis. Diagnosis. It's mainly clinical diagnosis. If you have any symptom of CNS, CP angle, ear disease pathology, then we have to proceed otoscopy of ear, middle ear. We have to do imaging of CNS, ear, CP angle, mainly MRI. And we have to do facial nerve testing like topographic test and electrophysiological test. Facial nerve testing, topographic testing, but recently in Bell's palsy, this topographic test like Sirmer test, electrogustometry, salivatory test are not helpful to diagnose the level of injury. So this is obsolete right now. In electrophysiological testing, we are mainly doing electrophysiological testing. Just I want to tell you some detail. Electrophysiological testing. Electrophysiological testing. One is nerve excitability test. If you stimulate the nerve at 3.5 milliampere current, you will find out the asymmetry of facial stimulation. Maximum stimulatory test. If you excite bilateral facial muscle at 5 ampere, so you will find out the again maximum stimulatory test. Key how much asymmetry is there. Third one is most important, electroneuropathy, and fourth one is electromyography. In electroneuropathy, if it you find out more than 90% of degeneration by compound action potential within 14 days, so you will come to know there is bad prognosis. In electroneuropathy, you can diagnose the facial degeneration within 15 days. Mostly you can diagnose 3 to 15 days. So this is better test electroneuropathy. Electromyography is mainly comes after 2 to 3 weeks. So you can find out if it is loss of polyphasic potential. Polyphasic potential is normal. If it is fibrillatory potential, it means it is degenerative potential. It means nerve is not supplying the muscle and muscle going to be atrophied. So there will be fibrillatory potential. And last one is complete atrophy of muscle may occur. There is absence of any potential. Okay, it is normal is mainly biphasic or triphasic value, and polyphasic means muscle is regenerative. Polyphasic means regenerating, and biphasic and triphasic means normal potential is there. And if it is fibrillatory potential, there is nerve going to be degenerate. And absence of potential means muscle is already atrophied. So this is about electrophysiological testing. But topo diagnostic test is not going to help to diagnose the facial nerve injury. Remember that this is very latest, and a lot of people talk about salivary test, Summer test. That is not going to be helpful. Now, DD, I already mentioned diagnosis is mainly clinical. If you have many upper motor neuron CNS pathology, lower motor parotid injury, trauma, infectious disease, a lot of causes, DD may come all diseases, okay? Or facial nerve palsy, any disease which lead maybe systemic or local facial nerve injury. So this is diagnosis. Now treatment. Treatment of facial palsy. Suppose you are not treating, no treatment is given to facial Bell's palsy patient. So what will happen? If you will not provide any treatment to this patient Bell's palsy, you will get within 15 days almost 71% patient of the recoverers. 12% of cases having residual palsy, and 16% patient develop dyskinesia or contracture or asymmetry. So if you are not giving any treatment, 71% of the patient recover, become normal. Now if we giving prednisolone, that is dose is about 1 milligram per kg. So this ratio will increase. 90% will patient normal recover. There is 6% residual injury, and 4% will be complicated like dyskinesia or contracture or crocodile tear because of degeneration of nerves. So this is about prednisolone therapy. If we are giving prednisolone plus acyclovir, antiviral. So some author, mainly Ador, supported this. Ador supported this. There is 10% more improvement by acyclovir therapy. So I recommend this prednisolone. No data available for acyclovir effectiveness, and American Otolaryngology and Head and Neck Society don't recommend this acyclovir prednisolone therapy. They recommend this only prednisolone therapy, and 90% of the cases are recover if you start therapy within 72 hours, within 3 days. So you will get better result by doing prednisolone therapy. And supportive therapy, if you want to recover completely, you can give hyperbaric oxygen therapy. You can give zinc supplementation. You can give vitamin B12 supplementation if it is deficient, or vitamin D3 supplementation if it is level is low. Okay. Now we will talk about surgery. Surgery in Bell's palsy, surgical treatment. I recommend only surgery if it is electroneuropathy showing 90%, more than 90% or 90% degeneration within 14 days with fibrillation potential in EMG. If any Bell's palsy patient, electroneurography showing 90% degeneration within 14 days with fibrillation potential electromyography, you have to take this patient for surgery, and surgery is not transmastoid approach. Not. This should not be done. What is the approach? Approach is middle cranial fossa approach, because you have to decompress which part? Proximal, distal with geniculate ganglia. So you have to decompress the geniculate ganglia proximally and distally. This is labyrinthine segment. So this segment is not approachable by this approach. So you have to do middle cranial fossa approach. This is the right answer for decompression. And if somebody is doing vertical or tympanic segment of the facial nerve decompression, this is not going to be helpful. That is not recommended. Okay, so this is about Bell's palsy surgical treatment. Other treatment, you can add physiotherapy, eye cares like lubricants. This is all about Bell's palsy. So thank you so much.